What is going on, gunfighters? Are you excited about a brand new episode of Gunfighter Life? By God's grace, I got an idea for a lot of episodes. State of this caliber in 2024. Just kind of like the State of the Union address, but for a caliber. What's the state of, 9mm in 2024? What's the state of, 5.56, 308, 40 Smith & Wesson? I don't know if I'm going to do all those calibers, but you get the idea. I'm excited to get you guys some new content because I've been doing a lot of tactical reload episodes because I've been professionally gunfighting to make some money while this podcast, God willing, becomes a full-time income. If you want to make that happen, if you want to be part of that, check out the Patreon link in the show notes. With that, welcome to Gunfighter Life, where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, ballistics, calibers, the right way with Almighty God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. Let's hit up this bio, and then we'll get into the main topic. First and foremost, I am a Christian. I don't apologize for that. God is number one in my life. I grew up hunting and fishing in the backwoods of the southeastern United States at a very early age. Some of my earliest memories are with firearms. I joined the Marine Corps at 17, did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. By God's grace, He got me through that safely. After that, I served as an instructor, an urban warfare instructor, and a desert warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps. I also served with the LAPD, both full-time as a sworn police officer and some more specialized assignments, as well as serving in the U.S. Army, full-time and part-time National Guard. I've been a FBI firearms instructor, still am an FBI firearms instructor, have been for a lot of years. Also NRA certified and some other three-letter government agency certified. I've been a private contractor for a three-letter government agency I won't specify. I've been the commander of a tactical team in a large metropolitan area. By God's grace, He got me through all that in one piece, not because I'm better, but because He chose to have grace and mercy on me. I've been a professional hunter and guide. Professionally hunted things like buffalo and elk. Not many people today can say they've done that, but I'm blessed to be able to say that I have. I've hunted everything from white-tailed deer on the East Coast to mule deer on the West Coast to gray squirrel on the East Coast to prairie dog on the West Coast and elk and bear and wolf and slain all manner of beast. A state rifle and pistol champion a few times over in a few different disciplines. Now those experiences, it's not because I'm bigger or badder. Certainly not bigger. In fact, I met one of the patrons in real life, and he said something to the effect of, "I thought you'd be bigger." Reminded me of that William Wallace movie, where he's like, "Oh yeah, if William Wallace were here, he'd shoot lightning bolts out of his rear end." Well, I'm not William Wallace, but I am the person that did all those things in the bio. But not because I'm bigger or badder. I don't think that I survived when many other young good men did not. I give all the glory and all the credit to God, all the talents and experiences that He's given me and the things that He's let me live through. I hope to use them to glorify God and to help you today. So if I boast in anything, it's not in my strength, it's in that God had mercy on me and saved me because He had a purpose for me. And hopefully I can use those talent, skills, and abilities to serve you today. Testing. I think I'll leave that in there, guys. You might notice less congruence in the audio on the podcast just because I'm working the professional gunfighting job. Today was a short day. I'm trying to get some episodes recorded for you guys. You probably have noticed some more reruns or tactical reloads, as I like to call them. That just is what it is. I'm going to be busy for the next couple of weeks. But a lot of podcasters, put out an episode a week. We're still, by God's grace, doing more than that, working another job. But doing the private contractor thing, kind of got to fit the podcast in here and there. If you notice this series, it may have varying levels of audio quality. Anyway, with that, today The 300 Blackout. That's right. The 300 Blackout. If I had to think of a subtitle, it would be One Foot in the Grave. The 300 Blackout. 1 foot in the grave, where its days numbered, it'll probably limp along. I was thinking about this today at the gym. Is it like the rifle AR caliber version of the 40 Smith & Wesson? And even less so, because the 40 Smith & Wesson had its day in the sun. It had a day where it was like the preeminent law enforcement caliber. There was a time where 300 Blackout was getting up there in sales and in platforms. Nowhere near, I don't think it ever approached 5.56 223, but it was a pretty decent share of the market for a little bit of time. But even then, it took a backseat to the 223 5.56. Even less so today. Again, 1 foot in the grave. State of 300 Blackout in 2024, not really looking too hot. And I was thinking about this, and here are some major reasons why. The big one, the elephant in the caliber room here, is cost. If you're shooting, like practically, you're buying your ammo by the case. AmmoSeek, not a sponsor of the show. I refuse sponsors. But if you're looking for a place to find cheap ammo, AmmoSeek is like a search engine to find some cheap ammo on the internet. First result that popped up was 34 cents a round for 223. And the next one was 36 cents a round. 300 Blackout starts at 48 cents a round. Then the next one is 52 cents a round. So if you buy your ammo in bulk, it's still more expensive. And if you go to the local store, it's likely going to be a lot harder to find. You might find a load or two, but likely there's going to be a lot more selection of 223 5.56. It just is more available and more affordable. That's the big one. And a lot of proponents of the 300 Blackout, and there are many people that just love the caliber. They're just like kind of like 40 Smith & Wesson. They've invested in it. They want to justify it, and that's fine. I'm not saying that you can't have 300 Blackout, but they'll say that, it does better when you cut down the barrel. And percentage-wise, that's true. I'm not even going to dispute that. Just like bullet diameter, powder capacity, all that plays into the physics of why it does better when you cut down the barrel. But if you're out practicing and you're buying 1,000 rounds of ammo, a case of ammo, even though it's the 5.56 is wasting some of that energy, you have some unburnt powder, do you really care? Because you're still saving money. Even if the powder is literally just wasted, it still was cheaper to begin with. So yeah, it does better in shorter barrels. It's more efficient. It loses less, velocity as a percentage when you chop down the barrel. But if you're saving money shooting 5.56, do you really care? Because I don't care how good the round is ballistically. You have to train with it. And you have to shoot it. Don't be one of these, armchair quarterbacks. What looks good on paper? On paper it's X amount more efficient. Yeah, but are you buying cases of ammo and training with it? So yeah, it does. And to be fair, it does do better when you cut down the barrel length. And another one people might say is, it's better for hunting. Let's say deer-sized game, which is, as a nation, as America, we hunt lots of things, but mostly we hunt deer. It's better for deer hunting than 5.56, and I'll even concede that. I won't even argue. Let's just not even pretend. You could cherry pick loads, but let's just say it's a given. Let's just say, 300 Blackout is better for deer at common ranges than 5.56 223. Let's just say it's true. Even if you disagree, let's just for now put that on the table and say, it's better. Why would that be my two choices, right? I could literally name 100 calibers better for harvesting deer than either 5.56 or 300 Blackout. So why is that my only option? And you might say, because I want to do it in an AR. My first question would be why? Why, if you're hunting, do you want to hunt with an AR? But let's say that you do. Let's say you're married to it. I want to hunt with an AR. It's what they issued me in the Corps, and I love the AR, and I've drank the Kool-Aid, and everything's got to be AR. Fine. You're going to hunt deer with an AR, and you don't want to move up to like an AR-10. I could still probably, off the top of my head, name 5 other calibers better than 300 Blackout. So again, in what world are we having to make the choice between 5.56 and 300 blackout. Because even if you say I want to hunt deer with an AR, well, you got 6 arc, you got 6.5 Grendel, you got 6.8 SPC, you got 300 hammer, you got 30 AR, you got 458 SOCOM, you got 450 Bushmaster, you got 500 Beowulf. That's just off the top of my head. They're all better. If you're talking about as far as energy foot pounds and deer and stuff go, pretty much, than 300 blackout. So again, in what world is that your two choices with 5.56 versus 300 blackout? If you gave me only those two choices, I would even probably concede probably for deer the better caliber is 300 blackout. But again, even if you're talking an AR, there's way better calibers. I would take a 6.8 SPC over 300 blackout for hunting deer. I would take 6.5 Grendel over 300 blackout for hunting deer. So, in what world? If you say longer ranges, I'm going to pick the 6 arc. If you say close range, I'm going to pick like the 450 Bushmaster or the 458 SOCOM. So I don't even understand that argument. Like, you only making that argument to show that it's maybe better for taking deer than 223 5.56. And with solid copper monolithic bullets, I don't even know if that's the case. Because historically, when you had a small for caliber bullet and you pushed it to real high velocities like a 5.56 does, you would have to worry about bullet integrity and the bullet breaking apart and fragmenting, which you probably don't want for deer hunting in a smaller caliber. But with solid copper monolithics, that's not even really a concern anymore. So again, for if you're saying for hunting, I just don't get it. Like, you're just looking for a reason to justify 300 blackout. And the big one that people are going to point out is suppressors. You don't understand it was made for spray. I understand. I know all about suppressors. I've worked a lot of jobs in the past where I could get around all the stuff for having to own a suppressor and whatnot, and I still don't even bother with them. I still didn't bother with them then. I still don't think they're worth it. You're talking about like close-in urban operation, vehicle convoy, executive protection, dignitary protection, that kind of work in and out of vehicle convoys, in and out of tight confined spaces. I don't want to put a suppressor on my gun, no matter how cool it looks on Instagram, because I'm not posting stuff on Instagram if I'm doing that, because I want the shorter length. And I don't really care that it's quiet, because if I'm doing those kind of operations, I'm going to have in-the-ear Bluetooth communications that are noise canceling. Even if the suppressor's free, I'm probably not going to put it on. And the suppressors aren't free for you and me anymore. And the tax stamp costs $200. I can get really good inside the ear noise amplifying, noise canceling Bluetooth, so I can communicate with guys on the same team. In the ear protection, cheaper than $200. That's just the price of the tax stamp, let alone the suppressor. So again, you're just doing it because you want to be cool, I think. I don't really see a practical purpose for that, because I would rather have the shorter overall package of the gun than hang a suppressor on the end of it. Especially when I can have Bluetooth noise amplifying, noise canceling headphones. That technology exists now. It wasn't really that great 10 years ago, but it's here now. So again, you're just running a suppressor because you want to, because it's cool, not because it's really practical. Sorry to bust your tactical bubble there, but even if you give me a free suppressor and I don't need the tax stamp, I'm still probably not going to run it. It still doesn't make sense. I would rather have the extra shorter overall length of the gun and handiness of the gun and the balance of the gun. That, to me, that's more important than the quietness of the suppressor, because I'm wearing stuff in my ears and my headset anyway. So, I mean, yeah, you can suppress it because, you can run the subsonic loads of 220 grain loads at just under the speed of sound, which for good round numbers, let's say 1,000 feet a second. That's not true. It's a little bit more than that, and it depends on your elevation and the humidity outside and literally a bunch of factors. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it's right around 1,000 feet a second. So you're launching a 220 grain bullet at 1,000 feet a second. Well, 45 ACP is a 230 grain bullet at right around just under the speed of sound. And 45 ACP is a good, I like it. It's a good handgun round. It's got good handgun ballistics, round per round. But it's not much compared to a rifle. And you're going to sit there and turn your rifle into a 45 ACP as far as bullet weight and bullet speed go, and as far as energy foot-pounds go. I know there's a lot more that goes into ballistics than that. There's bullet construction, which is a big one, and a lot of other stuff. But you get the idea. What am I doing there? And I think maybe people have started to realize that. I think that's why that fad has mostly died. Let it be, the fanny pack of tactical AR calibers for now. Maybe it'll see a resurgence like fanny packs have. I'm probably not going to be the dude rocking either one of those, a fanny pack or a 300 blackout. But you do you, right? That's fine. If you want to walk around with a fanny pack, that's fine. If you want to walk around with 300 blackout and spend the extra money, then that's fine. If you already have a bunch of it and you're invested in it, that's fine. But I think, and it's not a bad caliber, it's not as common and it costs more. It's a pretty non-standard caliber, and I think no matter how good ballistically some rounds may be, there's a lot of rounds better ballistically that fit an AR that are better than 5.56 223. Again, just off the top of my head, like 224 Valkyrie, 6mm by 45 is one of my favorites. 6.8 SPC, 6.5 Grendel. May have said Creedmoor before. If I did, I meant Grendel. But they're all pretty much better ballistically than 5.56, but I generally run 5.56 because it's cheaper, it's affordable. Kind of like the 9mm, it is the de facto standard. If I have to buy the ammo and train for it, whether I'm an agency or an individual, that adds up. And that, being proficient with your weapon and actually putting rounds through your weapon and training, is so much more important than a little slight sliver of the pie of ballistic effectiveness one round versus another, in real practical terms. And again, I think these are all reasons why the 300 blackout has one foot in the grave. It'll limp along. There'll still be people that think it's the best thing since sliced bread. But I think in 2023, it's a fastly dying, going away caliber. Again, I consider it kind of like the 40 caliber of the AR rounds, as in like 40 Smith & Wesson and a handgun, as in it's quickly dying. And again, not a bad caliber. If you have it, I'm not telling you got to throw it in the dumpster. You got to, shun it. I'm just saying that that doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know anybody that's like on their top list of guns to get in 2024 is a 300 blackout anything. And that says something, at least to me. Anyway, state of the caliber address 300 blackout. Maybe not what you wanted to hear if you love 300 blackout, but there's been many, quote-unquote game-changing calibers that had their little blip that were going to replace the 5.56 223 in the AR-15. 6.8 SPC, 458 SOCOM, 50 Beowulf, 224 Valkyrie. Like, they just... It would take something drastic to dethrone the 5.56 223 as the de facto king of the AR-15 calibers. I don't see it happening. I think you'd see a fundamental change away from the AR-15 period for that to happen. Again, ballistically, not a horrible round. Ballistically, not exactly the same, but similar to 30-30, similar to 7.62 by 39. Okay, it's a fine round. But I think, again, it's aging, and we're going around in circles. So I'm going to start wrapping it up. I appreciate you guys being patient while I'm doing both jobs here, trying to rack up the money, put some money in the bank, by God's grace, hopefully save some money. It's still the goal, by God's grace, to make the podcast, the show, the primary income. I can get out more fresh content with, better audio quality and more editing and all that stuff. So if you want to help make that happen, consider becoming a patron. Patrons get a lot of cool insider-only content. Been trying to make sure that the patrons are taken care of through this, tumultuous time, and getting them a lot of fresh content. And just to let them know that I appreciate them, and I do appreciate all you guys, patrons. Again, if you want to become a patron, consider becoming a patron. There should be a link in the show notes. Your tactical tip of the day. Magpul. It's Magpul. It's not Magpul. It's Magpul. They make all kinds of stuff today. They make stocks for like lever actions, shotguns. They make a bunch of AR accessories. They make all kinds of stuff. But their name, Magpul, came from a simple product that went on the bottom of the magazine to help you pull it out. The Magpul. They still make those. Those can still be handy when you're running magazines in your kit, to grab magazines out of your kit when they're a little bit sticky. That's still a good, simple product. That original Magpul magazine pull. Don't forget that thing exists. And again, they're not a sponsor. I'm just throwing that out there for the tactical tip. Back in the day, what one could do before those existed is take some tactical color duct tape, and by that I just mean just not a flashy color, not a reflective color. Take some duct tape and a piece of 550 cord, loop it around and run the duct tape around it so you could do the same thing with 550 cord and duct tape. But the Magpul things are pretty cheap. But if you don't want to go that route and you want to DIY it, you can do the old duct tape and 550 cord kind of thing. The tactical verse of the day. This is just a good fitting verse, I think, for listeners of this podcast. You therefore must endure hardship as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. Throughout history, I think that's one thing soldiers have in common, whether you were a Roman soldier or you fought in the GWAT. You know about hardship, right? That's just a commonality of soldiers throughout history. You know about withstanding hardship. And with that, I'm going to read that passage again and then we'll close it out. You therefore must endure hardship as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. With that, thanks for listening and have a blessed day.